Hey Dan, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing very well, thank you very much. I'm on a 2 weeks holiday, annual leave, so I'm better than all right. I'm relaxed, and I'm fantastic.
Yeah, that's awesome. Do you get to go anywhere, or are you going to the sea or anything?
Yeah, I'm going to go to the Highlands of Scotland. Not next week, but the week after, and then I'm back at work for a week, and then I'm off for another week, and I'm going to Miami to the Dice Tower retreat. So that's exciting stuff.
Yeah. There are. I'll have to send you the name later, but there's a taco place I love in Miami, kind of down by the art district. So if you like, if you like tacos, I think it's Cortado tacos. So
Cortado tacos.
If you like tacos,
I'll pretend I'll remember that, but forget it completely.
Yeah. You'll probably forget it.
I'll listen back.
Yeah. Well, Thanks for joining me on the show. And Dan is is a contributor along with his daughter Cora to the Dice Tower, as he kind of just implied there, but also has a great little podcast with Mike DeLizio. And I'm going to say the name of the podcast wrong, but Sporadically Board?
Sporadically Board, yes.
Okay.
Named because we sporadically put out content, but we also only sporadically talk about board games. So that's the reasoning behind that.
Yeah, for sure. And then, of course, you have Coraquest, which my son and I have played. And
fantastic!
And we enjoy, and it has an expansion coming out, and we'll probably hit that up some more at the end.
Yeah.
But also, congrats! It sounded like the stock of Coraquest sold out at Gen Con. I'm now, time is not real, so I guess 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there was limited stock there. I mean, the trick with Gen Con is only to take 2 copies, and then you can say sold out.
Right.
But no, there was 150 there, so that's very gratifying. The publisher flew it in, so they could only fly in.
Right.
So it's very expensive. I think it's about $20 a copy to fly it in when it only costs $40 for the actual game. So they flew them all in, and then just to have something, just to launch it at Gen Con. But it should be in retail September, probably more like October, as the ships arrive. But these are all air freighted copies.
Very cool. Well, I mean, every time I went by the booth, there were people checking it out, even
fantastic.
when they had been selling out. So that was cool to see. So I thought we'd do something weird, and I did kind of forewarn you, but you and Mike ended up talking about Muppets a few weeks ago, or something. So I thought we would start this episode of Board Again Games with a little game, a little pop quiz. And you, I'll give you the question and some information, and then you try to do your best. And I don't know if we have I don't have a prize. I don't even know what a prize would be.
The glory of victory is fine with me. Just being on this podcast is reward enough, I think.
Thank you, Dan. I mean, you're already very, very nice guest. Okay, so let's just get into this. I love the Muppets too, and that's what piqued my interest. So I don't know that Mike's met it in a. Well, anyways, I think the debate was how important they were culturally. But anyways, coming back to it. 1977, Vincent Price appeared on The Muppet Show.
He did.
And it's a great episode. It was the first thematic episode of The Muppet Show. What song was cut from the 1994 English DVD release of the show? So there's German DVD. Okay, so three of these songs, and actually one of these songs only appeared in the UK version of the Muppet Show too. So that might be confusing too. But
we used to have a longer Muppet Show because the BBC put the Muppets out and they don't have adverts. So we always used to get an extra bonus segment, which was usually not with the special guests. It was usually a kind of Muppets musical bit. But yeah, I'd never realized that until recently. But yeah, we used to get 5 more minutes than the US people, which is very gratifying. Because it was made in the UK as well, was the Muppets. I don't know if you're aware of that. Yeah. Anyway, go on, carry on. Yeah.
No. It's great. So here are your choices. First one, Under My Skin by Cole Porter. Second one, I'm Looking Through You by the Beatles. And finally, You've Got a Friend by Carole King.
Now,
which one was cut? Yeah.
There must be a reason for it to be cut. And I can't think of. The BBC are pretty prudish.
It's just probably a licensing issue.
So I'll say the Beatles one. The Beatles one, I'm guessing. But you had Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in the US. In the UK, it was Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles because you weren't allowed to say the word ninja on British TV. This is how prudish. This is how prudish there was a big thing about throwing stars and things like that. That was an issue in young people at that time. But that's beside the point. But yeah. I'm happy.
I mean that's a whole another rabbit trail to go down. Yeah. Okay. No, it was actually You've Got a Friend by Carole King, and that's why I thought maybe unless you knew this one, you probably wouldn't know. So that's the one that's cut.
I've seen that episode. It's almost it's the first appearance of that kind of crocodile thing with the tentacles. Is it Uncle Nasty or Mr. Nasty or?
My wife and I were just talking about it, and I'm going to forget his name. But yeah, he's on there. Although there is a character that's similar to him that showed up in an earlier Henson show.
It's the first one I can remember.
Yeah. So, okay. So we'll move on. Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas originally aired on Canadian Broadcast Corporation. Have you seen it? Have you heard of it?
I have heard of it. Yeah. My knowledge of it is not in depth. I can tell you that.
Yeah. Okay. So this one is a Frank Oz question, since there was some discussion about Frank Oz. Who did Frank Oz voice on that? Harvey Beaver, Chuck Stoat, or Charlie Muskrat?
Do you know the difference between a weasel and a stoat?
Geography when you name it?
No, a weasel. A weasel is weaselly recognized, but a stoat is totally different. Anyway, that's one of my favorite jokes. The muskrat. Oh,
I thought you were gonna guess the stoat because of your joke. Okay, it was Chuck Stoat. So Chuck Stoat is.
It's a good job. There's no prizes for this. To be fair,
yeah.
You've pitched it very high.
Yeah. Well, I just thought we were talking about stupid stuff at first. just to set the.
I know who plays Fozzie Bear. What?
Yeah.
Well, that was the level we're going at, but no, we got which obscure jug band character member.
Yeah, and I agreed with you. I think it was you that said that like when Fozzie walks off and he's making the fart sounds, it was totally appropriate.
It was. In
the recent movie. All right, we'll just go to one more. Would you rather? And I'll let you pick the category. Would you rather have?
No. Let's do it. I'm happy to stop Muppets. You don't have to cut it short for me. I complain. Okay. That's what I do. I complain. So don't.
No. Yeah. Would you rather have Dark Crystal, Kermit the Frog, or Fraggle Rock? Which one do you think you're most knowledgeable?
Interesting. Well, not Dark Crystal because that scared me, and it still scares me. I still haven't seen the whole of the new series.
It was great. I wish I hadn't been canceled. Oh well.
Everything's cancelled though, isn't it? But it was very good. I saw some behind the scenes stuff, which was amazing. I will go for Fraggle Rock. Let's mix it up. Let's mix it up. Although I'm tempted for the Kermit one because I do like Kermit, but Fraggle Rock.
Yeah. Oh, well, I can just share.
Yeah, do them both.
But Fraggle Rock, which was actually produced simultaneously for the US, Canada, and the UK,
with different lighthouse keepers.
Exactly. Yeah, they changed it just a little bit to regionalize it, and the trash heap is voiced by Jerry Nelson, who also did Snuffleupagus. Was the character actor, but what is a lot of people just refer to her as the trash heap.
Marjorie.
Oh yes, there you go. We got one right. Yes, yep. And the options were going to be Ma, Marjorie, or Merple, which are all characters in the show. But Marjorie is the trash heaps.
Yeah, I don't know where that knowledge came from, but that was solidly in there. So I'm happy about that.
Excellent. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No. Well, I'll just if you're curious about the Kermit the Frog,
I am.
Kermit actually started on a show called Salmon Friends.
Yes.
and was more like a lizard-like creature. It was a show that was black and white in the Washington, D.C. metro area. And it was Jim and Jane before they got married. They were puppeteers doing that show.
I've seen a few of those episodes, just in clip shows and stuff like that when I've been... I was a massive fan of Jim Henson as a kid, absolutely massive. And I even remember where I was when he died, because we had a week off school and we were doing a school newspaper. That was the kind of, we were put into a school newspaper type editorial office, and that was a week we were going to spend writing school papers and stuff. And I wrote Jim Henson's obituary for the Holmfirth High School newspaper. So there you go. It really affected. I think that's the first celebrity death that really affected me. I think the first one I remember anyway.
Yeah, no, I hear you there. Jim Henson had a huge impact on me in a lot of ways, and that, like, especially because his shows seemed to care about how you treated people, that you didn't mock people, and that you treated people as whole people. Even I think man, it's gonna bug me until I think of the name of that character, but Uncle Gnarly or whatever that.
Yeah, Uncle something. I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah,
but like those characters were treated as like whole persons rather than just throwaways to make fun of somebody else. And his appreciation for, like, especially going back as an adult and watching some of the old Muppet Show, those weren't really a kid's show. It was like a variety show with real music, and they had like dancing and other things like that on them sometimes. So anyway, all that how what this is not a well-formed question. What do you feel has the same type of approach in games? That's my leap and segue.
Oh, right, interesting. You mean as the Muppets?
As the Muppets, yeah.
Well, the Muppets. Well, that's an interesting one. I'm not sure anything does. The Muppets has this wonderful blend of creativity, wholesomeness, and silliness. And humor and things like that, and this kind of work together thing. So I suppose a lot of cooperative games have that. The rise of the cooperative game has a kind of very Hensonish feel to them. Yeah. But I don't know if anyone. You see, Henson always felt a little bit kind of anarchic and aside from the mainstream, really, I think, and not that board games are mainstream, but within the kind of world of television, they felt like they were different, and I'm not sure anyone comes across as that. Have you got an answer for this?
No. I was just thinking about it, and I completely agree. Going from like his intent with Sesame Street, that it was supposed to be a show for urban kids, and that's why representation mattered to him in the show, to what he did with the Dark Crystal and some of the other stuff, that like he was like, I'm going to do what I want, and I'm going to produce something that's quality, and I don't care, but I'm going to bring people into that story, whatever that story is.
It was using a medium that is looked down upon to do both social good and something incredibly artistic at the same time. And absolutely, that combination is very rare. And I can't think of any TV programs now that are doing that. Maybe some animation, maybe like the kind of Adventure Time animation and that kind of stuff. That feels quite heartfelt. I'd like to think, and I know this may feel a bit marketingy, but I'd like to think Coraquest has some of that kind of grassroots, kind of involving the community and all that kind of stuff. I think there's an element of that creativity there anyway.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I mean, I was gonna say that is one thing that we have appreciated playing through and checking out this is that my younger son Blaze, who's 10, when he saw this, he's like, oh, this is art that feels like other kids did it, And I was like, yeah, that's exactly, because I had tried to encourage him, but he's a very shy person. I tried to encourage him to submit. And right now, I think you're calling for it again, more kids to submit their artwork so that it can be part of the expansion. I think that's fantastic. And even if, I think that's the thing, even if a younger person doesn't submit art, that they can see themselves in this game, in that it invites them in.
Yeah. I mean, obviously we can't put every kid's art, especially this time around, because the first time round it was just a relatively small community of 50, 100 people, and then now there's 2,000 people in our Facebook group. Now, not all of them are submitting art, but there's a lot coming in. So Gary's going to use as much as he humanly possibly can for this expansion, and he amalgamates lots, but we can't use it all. But one of the things that we have got, and again, this isn't me, I don't mean to be pushing anything, is we've got this app where you can make your own characters and one of the and play them in the game, so you don't need to share them with loads of other people. It's just your thing. And one of the things that we were really passionate about is that with kids, I don't know about your kids, but my kids, if they feel it's not good enough, then they're much more reluctant to try. So if we filled the art with professionally drawn, people, fantasy art and even cartoony fantasy art, but by an adult professional, then ask kids, and you can draw your own characters and play them in the game. My kids would often say, well, they don't look as good as that, so I'll just use them because they're the proper ones. Mine aren't good enough. Whereas if by using all kids' art, and about 50% of it is my daughter's art, and then the other 50% is kids from all over the world. By using their art in the game, it means that the creative side, which is something that we were really passionate about, we really wanted people to make their own characters, make their own adventures, and use it and have that joy of creativity that me and Cora had making this game, and pass that on to some other parents and children or guardians and children or whatever to enjoy themselves. And so anything we could do to encourage that and tell people you are good enough. Anyone can draw, anyone can make a game, anyone can do anything. You just do it. You start and see what happens. That kind of joy of creativity, which I'm a massive believer in. Absolutely huge believer in punk rock creativity. If you want to start a band, start a band. Doesn't matter if you can't play an instrument, just start a band. Write a book, create a podcast. Do some videos, whatever. Just do it. No one might watch, but that doesn't matter.
Yeah. I mean, they might even have a ukulele in there, right? So
yeah. I can play the ukulele.
I know you can. That's why I said that. Yeah, no. I think that's the thing. That type of ethos is wonderful. I think that's the unfortunate thing sometimes with board games is that sometimes we lose our ability to play, and a game that allows children and adults to play together is quite wonderful.
Yeah.
So, So what are you enjoying right now? I'm sure that you're sharing things on the Dice Tower. You and Cora are, but yeah.
At the moment, I've been playing Akropolis, which is a new game from, I don't know who it's by. It's from Hachette, Hatchet, but whichever sub publisher that is. That's good. That's a kind of city building game, nice family weight game, bit like a cross between Kingdomino and Number 9. If you've ever played Number 9, you're kind of placing things out and going up levels and scoring more points. It's just very simple tile laying game where you can build different levels and get more points. That's a lot of fun. I've been playing this. Hang on a second.
Sure.
Village Green. Have you played Village Green?
Pierre Sylvester, right? No?
Yeah. Pierre Sylvester.
Yeah. Okay.
Well done. That's impressive.
Sorry. No. I like a lot of his designs. He's
right.
A good designer.
Yeah. I've only played it for the first time the other day, and I really, really enjoyed it. And that's you're kind of making a grid of cards, and then kind of choosing on adjacency and positioning and things, scoring on adjacency and positioning and things like that. But you also get to choose the scoring, the scoring criteria and things, and place that out as well. So it's basically a spatial awareness game. But it's set I love the setting because it's kind of set in you're trying to win the village's best, best kept garden type award and all that kind of stuff. And I really, really like that kind of pastoral theme. So I think that's as much as Coraquest is all about fantasy and stuff like that. I really do like this new trend in these kind of, I don't know, mundane themes, I suppose. I like that a lot. So they're the two ones I've been playing recently.
Okay. No, I didn't mean to interrupt you at all. I was going to ask, like, it's something that we've talked about, not on the podcast, but just in sitting down. Is like, will there be a topic that is too boring for a board game at some point? Because we we have everything from, like, we have a lot of farming games, which people don't normally do. And anymore, we have one farmer for every 200 people versus 100 years ago, when everybody was a farmer. But I don't know. We take care of cities. We take care of butterflies. We do all these things. But, like, is there a topic that you think would be too boring for a board game?
I don't know.
Too mundane.
Data entry, the board game. I don't know. I mean,
But you play 18xx, so you're almost there.
No, not me. I don't.
Oh, no, you don't? Okay.
No. I've never played an 18xx.
Okay. I apologize. Go ahead.
Ambi does, who you might have heard an interview with.
Oh, yeah.
She plays 18xx games, but
okay.
No, I like Railways of the World, which is a train game, but that doesn't go 18xx territory.
Yeah, no.
That's baby steps. That I don't know. I heard a really interesting interview with Matthew Dunstan, and I'm not sure where it was. It might have been on the 5 Games for Doomsday podcast. Uh-huh. And he was saying, Matthew Dunstan is.
Oh yeah. I just played Next Station London and really enjoyed it. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yep. And he was saying he feels there's a trend within board games for themes of things that people know a little bit about, but not a lot. So Wingspan is or quilting, or these hobbies that most people are aware of but aren't deep into it.
Yeah.
But sort of think, oh, I'd quite like to know more about that, or that kind of stuff. So we're moving away from these escapism type things and into kind of cozy themes, really.
Yeah.
I mean, it's difficult to think past Wingspan because it's so huge in the industry, but things like Village Green and Mr. Cabbagehead's Garden and just loads of kind of little pastoral escapism hobbies of hobbies.
Yeah, which is interesting, right? Like, but I since we're talking about Wingspan, I know several people who finally picked up Wingspan in the last 2-3 years, and that has prompted them to then get into bird watching and enjoy that some too. So there is definitely a relationship there, but at the same time, there are people who would rather sit down and play the board game than do the hobby of several other things, whether it's quilting or gardening, especially. So I don't. That's an interesting.
I wasn't saying the board games were prompting people to actually take up those hobbies.
No.
It's just the kind of. I mean, with Wingspan, all I do is go through the cards looking for the ones that also are rude, like the blue-footed booby and all that kind of stuff. That's what I.
I thought you were going to go with the predator rude, but no, you just mean the word.
Yeah, the word. Yeah. Any kind of double entendre. You'll find me snickering away in the corner like a 12-year-old boy. So yeah.
So yeah, fair enough.
I should have asked if it was safe for work. This is our podcast. I apologize.
No, I don't think that'll get us banned by Apple or anything. I mean, yeah, this is.
It's a real bird.
It is a real bird, and I don't. Yeah,
I can go through the other ones if you want, but I won't.
No.
I'll leave it there.
I know. I know. Evan for New plays the same way. It's how you got to entertain yourself while everybody else is
exactly. Find your own game. That's what I say.
What What do you think is difficult about having a podcast yourself? Because in the same way, we occasionally put out this podcast. So as someone who also occasionally puts out a podcast, not in a technical sense, but I mean, I guess if you want to talk about technical, but what is the hardest thing for you personally about having a podcast?
There's very little hard about having Sporadically Bored, because
okay,
I use it as an excuse to chat to my friend, and to be honest, friendships are difficult to maintain, and if we didn't have that regular thing, then it may be that you'd slowly stop talking as much, and it's difficult. So I really value it for that. I've been in podcasting for 15 years. I've done a podcast of various things. I used to do movie podcast. I've done a TV podcast. I've done a comic podcast. I started a podcast called This Game Is Broken.
That's right.
I've done a weight loss podcast, and that's not. I tell you what, that's not worked. I've done loads of podcasts, and I've done one where I was buying stamps, as in stamp collecting. And then writing a bit of creative writing based on the pictures on the stamps, which was odd. That didn't last very long.
Okay.
So I find podcasting difficult in that my greatest joy is seeing if I can do something. So that initial creation, the initial excitement of creation and something new and making it and working it, find out what works and getting it ready and getting into a rhythm and finding your voice and all that kind of stuff is wonderful. And then the maintenance, the thing kind of, if you want to be big, you have to put out an episode every week, and then the publicizing it is a nightmare. And just that whole, the kind of, if you talk about a gardener, I'm very much somebody who gets very enthusiastic in spring and starts my vegetable patch and all that kind of stuff. And by summer, it's full of weeds and things, because I'm no good at maintenance. I'm no good at commitment and keeping on going. My excitement and enthusiasm starts to wane. Now, with Sporadically Board, that's never happened, fortunately, but all the other podcasts I've had, I think there's this thing, and it's a known thing, isn't it? It's called pod fade. You record it, then you've got to spend at least, it doesn't matter even how little you edit, you'd always spend somehow double the time that it took to record to edit it. That's, I mean, our podcast, that's 3 hours, potentially 4 or 5 hours. Then you upload it, and then you have to type everywhere. Come and check out my new podcast. And if you're really wanting people to listen, you have to go and try and advertise it places, and no one likes you advertising it anywhere. So everyone's, you're pushing against Facebook moderators who are saying, stop promoting your podcast, and you're saying, you're trying to sneak it onto Reddit in some way or whatever. So it's the maintenance. That's why I found those difficult. It's the keeping going. There's no risk of us stopping with Sporadically Bored so far, because it's such an easy podcast to do, and because we haven't made any commitment to anybody, and ultimately we don't care if people listen. I mean, we do want people to listen, but we're not. I haven't looked at my stats for 2 years, so it's just something to do for the joy of it. So the joy's still there for that. But anything that starts feeling like work and maintenance and stuff, that's what I struggle with podcasts. How about yourself? Sorry.
Oh no, I would agree that the maintenance of it is what gets at me sometimes. Like you sit there, and I think that's what people don't realize is, even when you're doing like just basic editing, just take out some clips and pops, no matter what, if it took an hour to record, it's going to take 2.5 hours just to get done. And it's like, well, okay, there's 4 hours of my life that nobody cares. Well, sorry, listeners, and nobody cares that I spent those 4 hours. They enjoy the product, but no one's really aware of what goes on in the background, and right. That's how it should be. And ultimately, no one's standing there with a gun to our head saying you must record. It's a narcissistic exercise in the end, isn't it? You want people to you want to express yourself, which is great. But there's a time cost in that, really. Which is why it's great being a guest, because I don't have to edit. I can bang the microphone and
and all I want. So that's fantastic.
Yeah. Well, and there's the on that point. What is giving you joy? Did you grow a garden this year? Do you get into gardening?
No, but my wife has put some pots out the front, which is
okay.
which is good. And what's giving me joy this year? Oh, that's a good question. Okay. Again, I don't want to go back to kind of promotion, but I've been working.
You're fine.
I've been working really hard on the Coraquest expansion this year.
Yeah.
So that's been giving me an equal amount of joy and utter utter existential dread. So that creative process has been giving me joy. And I've got back into gaming more than I was because the pandemic's over, things are opening up. I mean, things opened up last year, but more and more is opening up, and it's more and more kind of moving back to normal. I said the pandemic's over, then it's not over, but the pandemic is we are learning to live with the virus. So yeah, I think getting back into gaming a little bit. I think the creative process of doing Coraquest again is really kind of revitalized me. I always need a project, and this is what's happening this time.
Yeah. Do you feel like this will spur you on to other game design after this expansion is done, or is this like, I did that, now I can do some other things?
I don't know.
Okay.
I once organized this big charity walk across the width of the UK, and we had loads of people do it, but one of the teams cycled it, and the guy told me that every time he does a long distance cycle, so like 80, 100 miles type stuff, he organizes it, he rides his bike, he does it all, and then when he gets home, he throws his bike in the garage and says, and doesn't touch it again for 6 months because he's so sick of all the energy and all the focus that went into that. And that kind of sort of happened with the base game, and for a few months until I kind of got revitalized and people were enjoying it and it was going down well and all that kind of stuff. So I dug up some old ideas for the expansion, and me and Cora sat down and we went through them and decided what we actually wanted to do and things like that. So who knows? I mean, I've got no desire to be a professional board gamer, other than I wouldn't mind being Alan Moon with all that money. But you know what I mean? I don't want this. I'm relatively happy in my career. I don't want to be a publisher. I don't want to be a game designer. I don't want to be professional anything other than what I am, which is a nurse. So I just want to. I'll do it if it's fun. Basically,
right. Yeah,
I'll do it if it's fun. And it's whether I do it without Cora this time as well, because I don't know if Cora would want to do another one. And so it's and then it's like, do I still do family games if I did that, or do I branch out into a kind of other type of genre, or who knows? I never like saying no, never again to anything, because I know how my mind works, and I suddenly get obsessed with something and focus right down on it, and then 2 years later,
away you go. Yeah,
away I go. Exactly. 2 years later, I've got a board game when I never thought I would design one or whatever. So
yeah. I think that's one of the hard things personally for me with kids is that, like, for a while my son really wanted to like stream with me and do all that, and I encouraged it and I loved it, but then he got to a point where he was like, I'll play games with you, Dad, but I just want to go do this other thing. Right now, he's really into reading, and he'll read 300 or 400 pages a day.
Disgusting. Yeah.
but like no, it's great.
No. Yeah.
But I enjoyed that time with him, and that, I think that's parenting in a nutshell right there, is that our kids are constantly changing, and it's bittersweet. So
and you've got to go with the tides, because if you're fighting against the tides, then you're going to build up resentment and stuff like that. I mean, I'm very much that. The experience of designing a game with Cora was absolutely fantastic. It was during lockdown. We were something to do. We weren't looking at Kickstarter or anything. It was just something to do together.
Yeah.
And there was one point she turned to me and said, "Oh, I can't believe we've done this," and it was all in front of us, and she was so happy at the creation. just filled me with absolute joy. But then, what I didn't want to do is spoil that joy. And so when I said, when I decided to see how far we could go with it, initially it was only going to be a print and play stuff, and that was going to be the boundary. But then things progressed. There's a lot of playtesting that needs involved in that, and things like that. And to sit down and force her to do all the playtesting would have killed it. Would have absolutely killed it. I mean, it nearly killed it for me. The amount of times you have to play your game over and over again. Play any game 100 times, you're going to be pretty fed up of it, aren't you? Really, and to ask an 8-year-old to do that. So it was that really delicate balancing act of keeping her creatively involved and making the big decisions, but not forcing her to do the repetitive drudge of what it needed within the development. And similarly with things like interviews and things like that. I don't know if you're aware, but we ended up on BBC national TV live. We ended up being interviewed in The Guardian, which is a massive paper in the UK. It's a relatively big international paper. And there was one point where we were interviewed on 3 different TV shows and a radio show, and had a newspaper interview on the same day. Oh, man. And Cora did absolutely magnificently, and she was less scared than me. And she just took it in her stride. And then after that, she said, "I don't want to do any more interviews, Dad." And 2 more TV shows rang up and said, "Would you come on?" And I said no, because that would be the way of. It'd be good for the project, but it'd be the way of killing. The more important thing would be is to keep this something she's excited about and proud of, and not that horrible thing my dad made me do that summer. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Oh yeah. And ultimately it would just hurt your relationship with her.
Exactly. Which is why we only very sporadically put out a review for the Dice Tower, because I'll only do it when she says, "Should we make a video?" I could force her to play a new game every week and get in front of a camera and review it and stuff. But that's a very good way of wrecking your relationship and wrecking any joy. So it's going with the tides, isn't it? It's going with the tides of your children's interests.
Absolutely. And I think personally, as a parent, it's something, if you're willing to continue to discover things about yourself, personally, I find that part of the relationship of allowing someone that room to grow and be their own person, and then kind of standing outside of yourself, watching your relationship. So watching that, I had to say no to my own desires so that they could choose when to come back. That's a whole different type of growth that I wasn't expecting as a parent. That I had no idea what that was like until I went through it.
And I think a lot of geeky parents, I'm not calling you a geeky parent, but I certainly am a geeky parent, kind of have a child go, someone to watch Star Wars with or whatever. And then your kid loves football. And I hate football, but my son's, my eldest son, I've only got one son. My son has got a season ticket to the local football team that he goes to with his granddad. Because I love him, but not that much, not enough to, So and he plays rugby for a hobby and stuff. He's a real sports jock type person, and you've got to accept that that's who they are. They're not mini yous, right? You're not. It kind of frustrates me when people say, "Oh, congratulations! I've had a baby. My new gaming partner." I don't know. It's only said in jest, but I think to myself, well, they might not like board games.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Those pictures that you were talking about, Facebook groups and stuff, those pictures of they're holding, I guess, Carnegie or something like that, something really big, and the 5-month-old is sitting there. And you're like, oh man,
you should play games with your kids, but if they don't like them, they don't like them, basically.
Right. Yeah. You have to give that room. What game, though? So this is an interesting question. What game would you like to share with your kids that they show absolutely no interest in, that you do die a little bit inside though when they say no to?
Well, it's not so much Cora; it's my son.
Okay.
I haven't even tried with Cora really. But my son does like playing games. He's 15, but he likes games where there's not a great deal of luck. So he likes a good solid Euro type stuff, and I like a good solid Euro as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I've also got Battle Law. And I've painted it, and it's ace, and it's fantastic. So that's like a Memoir 44 fantasy battle game, 2-player battle game. And we were playing that one day. I think he must have been 12, 13, and he just said, "I'm fed up of this because there's too much luck in this game." I just wiped one of his units off the board. There's too much luck in this game. Can't we play something that it's more skill? And I'm thinking, oh, but what about all me very trash games? You know what? Because I like playing Warhammer. I like playing lots of skirmish games. I like all the little minis war games as well. Yeah. But he's like, I want to. Because I'm a middle-aged man, I've suddenly there's a switch that goes off in your head. I don't know if you've had it, where you go, oh, I'm interested in World War II now, and I never was interested in World War II before. There's kind of bolt action and all those kind of minis World War II war games that I really want to play. And my wife wouldn't play with. I've got no one to play them with, so I've not bought any. But I just thought, oh, but what if he? But he won't. He won't. He won't roll the dice. So it is what it is.
Yeah. Wait. Why do you think that Switch turns on for so many guys? I've been playing war games since I was in my teens. It's one of the things that kept me in war games. But yeah, there's a lot of men and people in general now actually that just a war game comes out and they'll buy it. Especially as an old, do you think it's the historical simulation or the fact that you have all these big armies or what?
I don't know, but there is a switch when you turn 40 or even 35. There's a switch that goes off in your head where you start listening to podcasts about tanks and stuff, where you never were interested in that stuff before. I wonder if it's a kind of growing recognition about how close World War II actually was. Like I was born in the 70s. Well, that's only 30 years away from World War II. Checks his maths. Yeah, 30. So, and I'm 46. So that's a lifetime. Do you know what I mean? It felt like it was when I was younger. It was massive, distant history. But now I think it wasn't massive distant history. And there's so much interesting media and things like that. I don't know if you've ever listened to Hardcore History, but he's amazing. He's one of he does a podcast and it's like 5 hours long, and it's one of the most popular podcasts ever made. So it just goes to show that if your content's great, it doesn't make any difference, But yeah, Hardcore History is fantastic, and he did a really, really fascinating one about the First World War, told from the kind of trenches point of view, not the kind of general's point of view. I don't know. There you go. There's the answer. A very long-winded way of saying I don't know, but it certainly went off in my brain. This World War II thing. I've got no idea where that came from.
No, it's fine. I just didn't know if like maybe for you it was like visiting a certain site and realizing that maybe your son would have been similar in age.
Well, there is that, but I never thought of that when I was similar in age.
Right.
And the other thing with anyway, I won't go on. I could talk for ages.
No.
I start getting really fascinated about the preparations that were made in this country for if the Germans actually invaded, because it was a knife's edge for a while. And all the kind of secret armies we had, basically, guerrilla fighters is what they were. They weren't called that at the time, but people who were just in everyday jobs and things, who were secretly trained to be saboteurs in case of a German invasion, and really kind of dark stuff. Like one of the first orders they had was to go and kill the local police chief. Not because they were a Nazi sympathizer or anything, but because he was involved in recruiting them and doing background checks, and
he would
so
know their names.
he would know their names.
Yeah.
So it just really kind of dark, grim stuff like that. Which I'm you can't even imagine living through that kind of stuff, can you? But yeah. So sorry, I got
no, you're okay. And last year, and now I'm gonna the name of the book's going to fail me, but I read a book about the Norwegians who stopped the Germans from getting the amount of cold water they needed so that they could have a few, like the Germans almost beat the US on nuclear nuclear research. But these Norwegians, they went in and they were trained by Brits mainly, and they were dropped in and they went and they blew up this dam where this cold water was. But like, if they hadn't done that one part of the war, the Germans probably would have had nuclear tech, and they would have been invading England. And there were so many small things that happened that were very important during the war that people don't realize.
Yeah, and tiny acts of bravery, or not tiny but huge acts of bravery, but
sure,
but on a scale were forgotten and small, and even the kind of, here board gaming. Here we go. The Turing machine, isn't that? The Park and all that kind of stuff. That kind of the first ever real computer. Just the progress. And the progress that the war, the impact of the war had on the rest. You went from, I think it was like a 40 or 50 year span from the first flight to the first man on the moon. And that's because of the war and increase in rocket technology and all that kind of stuff. Just absolutely fascinating.
Yeah. So have you played Turing Machine?
No, it's not. I don't think it's available in the UK.
Okay, so I got it day one at Gen Con because I was working right across the alley from Hachette. So I went over there and picked up my copy. It's my daily addiction right now because they have, you can go on their website and it says on there, we're not finished, but it's working fine. But you go on there and it gives you a daily challenge. So everybody who is like addicted to Wordle, which I was like, okay, whatever. But this, because it's just pure logic, not just guessing, you can go in and do your daily challenge and see if you beat the machine on.
That's really clever. That's a clever thing to do. That's a good community spirited yet also good at keeping the momentum going thing.
Yeah, no,
Hachette are doing it marvelously. They really are. They've come from nowhere and they've just kind of storming it as far as I can see.
I mean, I have no vested interest here at all, but I think Danny, who is doing their marketing, who used to be I think at Panda Storage, she is fantastic at marketing, and when she does it, she seems to just help them.
Well,
so anyway,
my perspective is slightly different in that the UK branch of Hachette is headed up by my friend Flavian, who I live very near, and who's a close friend of mine. And before he got involved in board gaming, he was designing carpets for cars. Interestingly enough, he was an audio engineer, so he designed carpets that dampened the sound of a car for people who are in it. Anyway, very interesting. I don't know quite how that worked on his CV, getting the job with Hachette, but still. So he's doing a marvelous job this end. Kind of, there's some amazing games coming through.
Yeah, it seems like they're just making really good choices with how they're releasing things and sharing them. Yeah. So anyway, let's end up on this with something important. No, this has been great. I really appreciate your time. But we'll end on this because I want to respect that. So if you had a World War II game, one more chance to share with your son or someone else, what would it be?
Well, I would quite like to play either Bolt Action or Flames of War, which are minis games. They're like moving around minis. I've bought and sold Heroes of Normandy 3 times. I've owned that 3 times and sold it all 3 times. Every time I realize I'm never going to get this played, so I sell it. And then I look at it and go, yeah, but look, it's all cardboard, so you get loads of units. So I'm not I do occasionally dabble in minis gaming, but I'm not really a war gaming. I've never really gone down that war gaming type thing. I played Undaunted. I really, really like Undaunted. That's really good. The thing I'm really looking forward to is this new Undaunted Battle of Britain, because that's era that I'm really interested in as well, and the aviation and all that kind of stuff. So that's definitely on my to buy list. Is that Undaunted Battle of Britain? It should be very interesting.
Yeah. Well, on that note, David's going to be on the podcast next week.
Oh, excellent! Ask him to send me a copy.
I mean, I'll try. He's a really nice guy. I don't know what his relationship with Osprey is, but with
no, I'm joking. I'm more than happy to. And they're so cheap as well. The Undaunted games are really, really good value. But yeah, I'm really excited for. All right, well, I'll look forward to that then.
Yeah. No, he's a nice guy, and I think because he messaged me a while back. He's like, I work in the same building as Gary Chavez, who which makes me think. I think he works for the Air Force in their research building in Dayton, which is like 45 minutes north of us.
I think he does. He's done an interview with. 5 Games for Doomsday. I don't know if you ever listened to 5 Games for Doomsday, but it's absolutely an amazing.
I have. And I was a guest on there myself once.
Oh yeah, I do apologize.
No. During the pandemic, but no, I listened to it occasionally because I like.
I'm gonna go back and I was a guest on there as well. I was like the second ever guest.
Well, he is. Oh, you were the second guest. Okay.
Third guest.
He does such a. He has had so many episodes. I mean, you talk about somebody cranking out the episodes. He cranked out so many episodes.
He does, and then random ones as well of him swearing a lot. I always find it. I always find it amusing. I know Ben really well. I'm a good friend of Ben.
Okay, cool.
And I always find it amusing that he's got this interview show, and then on the same feed he's got him swearing. Basically, I won't say. He's a character. Is Ben.
Yeah. No, it's probably buried in there. It was the one where he was talking to different retail people during the pandemic.
Okay. Yeah. I'm gonna go look it up.
Anyway, thank you. I appreciate. Anything else you want to say before we wrap things up, though?
I'd just like to do my plug for the expansion, if that's okay. So Coraquest is getting an expansion. So I never even said what Coraquest was either. Coraquest is a family weight dungeon crawling game. A family weight dungeon crawling game that designed with myself and my 8-year-old daughter at the time. She's 10 now. And the intent of it is a game that is simple enough for kids to play, but enjoyable enough for adults to enjoy. And I personally think I managed it, but I'm obviously slightly biased. So there's now going to be an expansion for the game. It's going to be coming to Kickstarter in October, which is when Coraquest also hits retail, which I'm not sure that's a good thing or a bad thing. But anyway, and the expansion is basically more of the same. It's 10 more adventures, but this time we've created a campaign system so you can level up your characters between adventures and you can keep your equipment between adventures. But because I have this thing about campaign games where I always complain that you only ever play the first game because then you leave it for a while and you can't remember what happened, so you play the first game again. They're also you can dip in and out of these adventures as well. So they're all standalone adventures, but you can play them as part of a campaign. So it's a kind of flexible campaign system. And more monsters, more stuff. And if you're interested, go to coraquest.com. Then you can sign up to our mailing list, and you can go to the Kickstarter preview page type thing. And if you've got children, then if they would like some art in a board game, then we would love to see it. So basically, on our Facebook group and also on our mailing list, we're putting out requests for people to send in art for us. And at the moment, we're after a Goblin King and an Archer Lady, but there'll be loads of different requests as time goes on. And you kids just draw it. You take a photo of it on your phone. Send it in to us, and if we use it, which we're trying to use as many as we humanly possibly can, our artist Gary, my friend, he kind of traces it and then colours it in, basically, and it looks awesome. But it also is very much still the soul and the spirit of kids art. So sorry, that's a bit of a pitch, I suppose, but yeah, I need to get that in.
No, absolutely. I mean that's the big reason I asked you on, even though it's been a joy to talk to you. I appreciate it. Thank you, and enjoy your time in Scotland and Miami coming up.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thanks, Dan.
Cheers.